I hired him to spy on my husband. Nothing more. No flirting, no emotion, just cold, hard facts. But somehow, somewhere between the stakeouts, the reports, and the late-night phone calls, I started needing his voice more than I needed the truth. I used to cry myself to sleep while Jorge claimed late-night work meetings. I thought I was crazy, that I was losing my grip. But the day Luis handed me a photo of Jorge sitting alone at a diner, I realized I had been searching for the wrong betrayal, because I was the one who had crossed the line first. And the worst part? I do not even know if I regret it. Before I continue, let me take a second to thank every single one of you who has subscribed to this channel. You have no idea how much it means to me. And to all my amazing returning viewers who are yet to subscribe, thank you too. I truly cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button because it serves as the fuel and energy that keeps this channel going strong. Also, do not forget to drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one of them, and I love hearing your take on these true stories.
Now, back to the story.
My name is Deborah. I am 44 years old, and I live in Oklahoma. For 11 years, I was married to Jorge. Charming, ambitious, and for a long time, my whole world. But in our 11th year, something changed. Jorge began pulling away. Less eye contact, less touch, less everything. I would ask if he was okay, and he would smile like nothing was wrong. But I knew that smile. It was the one he used on clients when he was hiding something. The late nights began. Then the canceled date nights. Then the quiet phone calls he took in the garage. I asked him once, just once, if he was cheating on me. He laughed. Said I watched too many TV dramas. But I was not laughing. I was falling apart. So I did something I never thought I would do. I looked up private investigators in Oklahoma. I told myself I needed peace of mind. Proof. One way or another. That was when I met Luis. He was not what I expected. Mid-30s, calm, observant, with a voice that sounded like it belonged on a radio show. He never smiled too much. He just asked questions. Lots of them. He wanted to know about Jorge's schedule, friends, patterns, behavior. I gave him everything. At first, it was strictly business. Luis would update me every 3 days. Text messages, surveillance photos, voice notes. Jorge at work. Jorge at the gym. Jorge sitting alone in his car, doing nothing. Nothing suspicious yet, Luis would say. I hated those words, because they made me feel like the villain. But the nights grew colder. Jorge was more distant. And Luis, he was always just a call away. One night, I was crying on the couch when Luis texted, "Need to talk? I am free." We talked for 2 hours. He never crossed a line. He just listened. And for the first time in weeks, I felt seen. The next time we met in person to review some photos, I wore makeup. I do not even know why. I told myself it was just to feel normal again. Then came the photo that changed everything. Jorge, sitting alone at a diner, reading a book. No phone in sight. No woman near him. Luis looked me in the eye and said, "He might just be lost, not unfaithful." That was when I felt the ground shift under me. Because by then, I had already started imagining what Luis' hand would feel like in mine. I may have hired him to catch my husband in a lie, but I ended up revealing every broken part of myself instead. And I was not sure if that was love or betrayal in a prettier disguise. The first time Luis touched me, it was not what you think. It was not passionate or forbidden or even planned. It was soft, barely a brush. My hands were shaking as I looked at those photos of Jorge, and I did not even realize my tears were falling until Luis reached over and wiped one from my cheek. Just one. But that single gesture shattered the wall I had been clinging to for weeks. I pulled away, apologized, told him I was just tired, overwhelmed, confused. He nodded,
Said nothing.
but the silence between us, it was loud, deafening. And yet, I did not ask him to leave. I should have. Jorge came home that night with flowers.
No occasion.
Just red roses in crinkled wrapping and a worn-out smile.
He said he missed me.
Asked if I wanted to go out that weekend. Maybe catch that old movie I used to love. I said yes, but I did not feel yes. I felt guilt. Heavy, like wearing wet clothes you cannot peel off. That weekend, Louis did not text. He gave me space. I checked my phone. Anyway, that was when I realized something had changed, and it had nothing to do with Jorge. Louis finally reached out 2 days later. Just one message. Everything all right? I stared at those 2 words like they were a mirror. Because no, everything was not all right. Not with my heart. Not with my marriage. Not with the way I was starting to look forward to a man who was not my husband. I replied, Can we meet? I just want to talk. We met in his car, in a quiet spot near the lake. Nothing happened, and yet, everything did. I told him how I had been feeling invisible for months, how Jorge had stopped noticing me, how I had stopped noticing myself. Louis did not try to fix it. He just listened. And when he finally spoke, he told me something that broke me in a different way. I was cheated on once, he said. 2 years ago. She told me I was boring, too safe, not exciting enough. So I made this job my world, catching liars. And now here I am, watching it all happen again, just from the other side. We sat there in silence for a long time. Then I reached for his hand. He held it, and neither of us pulled away. The next morning, I woke up early and cooked Jorge breakfast.
I do not know why.
Maybe I wanted to balance the guilt. Maybe I wanted to believe I still loved him the same. He smiled when he saw the food, said it reminded him of when we were younger. He even kissed my cheek. But all I could think about was Louis. The irony was painful. I had spent months believing Jorge was hiding something, only to realize the secrets were mine. Later that evening, I decided to confess. Not the part about Louis, but the investigation. I had to tell him I hired someone. I needed to come clean, even if it destroyed everything. When Jorge came home, I asked him to sit. I was ready, but before I could speak, he beat me to it. Deborah, he said, how long have you been spying on me? He knew. Somehow he already knew. But what he said next changed everything. I forgive you for that. But tell me this, are you in love with him? And I could not answer, because I did not even know the truth myself. The silence after Jorge's question was not just silence. It was a sentence, a verdict, a line I could never cross back over. He asked me if I was in love with Louis, and I said nothing, not because I did not know the answer, but because part of me did. When you spend months craving a voice that listens, a face that looks at you like you matter, you start confusing comfort with love. Or maybe, for someone who has been emotionally starved for so long, they become the same thing. Jorge stood up slowly, like my silence had just broken something inside him. He did not yell. He did not ask again. He just picked up his keys and walked to the door. You were wrong about me, Deborah, he said. I was not cheating. I was just tired, but I kept showing up. You did not. Then he left. And just like that, my marriage ended in a whisper. The next few days were a blur. I kept expecting him to come back, to fight,
To ask why.
but he never did. And Louis? He showed up at my door 3 days later. Not with flowers. Not with promises. just with a quiet presence I had come to recognize, steady, patient, waiting. I let him in. We talked. I told him everything. He listened the way he always did. Then he said something that nearly broke me all over again. You did not fall for me, Deborah. You fell for the attention, the safety, the relief. And I gave it because I understood that emptiness. I nodded, tears burning behind my eyes. You deserve real love, he said, but not from someone who is paid to enter your life. And then Louis left too, just like Jorge. It has been 4 months now. The house feels too big, too clean, too quiet. I have not spoken to Jorge since that night. Word has it he moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. He has not filed for divorce yet, but maybe that is just a matter of time. I think about Louis sometimes. I wonder if he was right, if what I felt was just borrowed affection, a band-aid on a bleeding heart. I look back now and see a woman who is drowning, and grabbed the first hand she could find, not because it was love, but because it was there.
The truth is,
I lost my husband not because he betrayed me, but because I did not trust him enough to believe he had not. I let suspicion become my compass. I let loneliness do the talking. And in trying to uncover the truth, I became the one who destroyed it.
so here I am now.
Alone. Not because I was cheated on, but because I was afraid of being cheated on. And in that fear, I pushed away the one person who stayed. I did not catch Jorge cheating. I caught myself falling. And I am the one who has to live with that truth. If this story touched you in any way, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please drop a comment below. I read each one with care. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support means everything, and it is what keeps these powerful, real-life stories coming. Until next time, take care of your heart and trust it, but never forget to protect it too.